My name is Ryan. 6 months ago, I was on the cover of Forbes. At 29, I was the co-founder and CFO of Viridian, a $10 billion green energy fund. We were the darlings of Wall Street. We were David and I. David was my best friend since college. He was the CEO, the charismatic visionary, the salesman. I was the numbers guy, the strategist who built the fund from the ground up. He was the face, I was the brain. We were brothers. Our model was simple: we invested billions in cutting-edge, world-saving green tech. We were getting rich, but we were also doing good. Life was perfect. The betrayal was fast. So fast, I didn't even see it coming. It was a Monday. I walked into the boardroom for our quarterly review. The entire board was there. And our head of legal. No one would look at me. "Ryan," David said, his voice heavy with fake sorrow. "We have a problem." He slid a bank statement across the table. It showed a $50 million wire transfer from our holding account to an anonymous offshore shell corporation in the Cayman Islands. "We've discovered a massive hole in our finances," David said. We hired a forensic team. The transfer was routed through 3 separate shell companies, all of which trace back to you, Ryan. My blood ran cold. "What? That's impossible. That's fabricated." "Is it?" David said. "We also found emails from your terminal, discussing the transfer. You've been embezzling from us, Ryan." "From me." He was lying. This was a setup. A performance. "David, look at me. This is insane. You know I wouldn't do this." He shook his head, looking at the board. "I'm heartbroken. He was my brother. But the evidence is undeniable. The board must vote." The vote was unanimous. I was fired. My shares were seized under the criminal malfeasance clause in our contract. I was escorted out of the building I built, carrying a cardboard box. The next day, the Wall Street Journal headline read, "Viridian CFO fired in $50 million embezzlement scandal." My life ended. I was under investigation by the SEC. My bank accounts were frozen. My reputation, the only thing I truly valued, was gone. I was a thief. A pariah. David, meanwhile, was the hero. He gave a tearful interview about the pain of betrayal and how he would rebuild Viridian's honor. The board praised his decisive leadership. I moved into a tiny, 1-bedroom apartment. I spent every day buried in legal fees, trying to prove my innocence against a mountain of perfect, false evidence. They had planned this for months. I was going to prison. I was packing the last of my old office boxes, stuff my lawyer had finally gotten back from the company. At the bottom was my old work laptop. They had professionally wiped it. I was going to sell it for parts. But I'm a numbers guy. I'm paranoid. I spent 3 days running deep data recovery software on the wiped drive. Most of it was junk. But then, a file popped up. A single, encrypted partition the corporate wipe had missed. A partition I didn't create. I knew David's password. His dog's name from childhood. Sparky 123. The partition opened. And I saw it. It wasn't a file. It was a universe. It was David's real set of books. The Shadow Ledger. My heart stopped. David wasn't running a green tech fund. He was running a greenwashing scheme. He was taking our investors' money, claiming to invest it in solar and wind, but was secretly funneling it into his own network of polluting, old-world factories in Southeast Asia. He was faking the environmental reports. He was collecting green subsidies from the government, for factories that were burning coal. The $50 million he framed me for. That was just the money he stole to buy a new factory. He needed a scapegoat to explain the whole. Me. I saw the whole plan laid out in his notes. Frame Ryan. Tank the stock. Blame the volatility on the fraud. Then buy back the public shares for pennies. He hadn't just betrayed me. He had betrayed everyone. Our investors, the public, the entire mission we built. I sat there, in my cheap apartment, holding the laptop. I wasn't a victim anymore. I was a time bomb. I waited. For 4 months, I let the world think I was finished. I waited for the Global Impact Summit. The biggest event in the ESG, environmental, social, and governance, world. And the keynote speaker, the man receiving the Green Entrepreneur of the Year award, was David. My lawyer told the SEC he had an anonymous tip, but that they should wait. He told them to be at the summit. I, on the other hand, still had my old CFO-level admin credentials. In his arrogance, David had only suspended my user account. He never deleted my admin-level system privileges. I spent a week burrowed deep in Viridian's network. I linked my old credentials to the AV system for the summit. The night of the event. The ballroom was packed. Journalists, billionaires, politicians. I was in the catering staff's uniform, in the back, by the tech booth. David walked on stage to a standing ovation. "Thank you," he said, holding the beautiful crystal award. People ask me what impact means. Impact is about building a transparent and green future. It's about honesty. It's about trust. "Let's talk about trust, David," I said, my voice hitting the main microphone from my laptop. The ballroom went silent. David froze. "Who said that? Turn that off." The giant screen behind him, which showed his smiling face, flickered. It was replaced by a title, Viridian's Shadow Ledger. And then, I displayed it all. The wire transfers to the Banca Industrial Works. The faked environmental reports. "That's fake," David yelled. "That's slander. It's the fraud he." "Is it fake, David?" my voice boomed. The screen changed. It was now a live feed of David's secret Cayman Islands account. It showed a balance of $50,143,218. "Let's fix that," I said. And live, on the screen, in front of 1,000 people, I initiated a wire transfer. From DL Holdings, Cayman, TO, Viridian Capital, operating account, amount, $50,143,218 memo, repayment of all greenwashing funds plus interest. The entire ballroom was on its feet. People were shouting. David looked at the screen, his face white as a sheet. He saw the transfer complete. He looked out at the crowd, and then at the side doors. 2 men in dark suits, who had been sitting in the front row, were walking onto the stage. "SEC, David Lee," one of them said, "you're under arrest for securities fraud and money laundering." As they cuffed him, his eyes found mine in the back of the room. I just lifted my empty water glass, giving him a small toast. He didn't just get caught. He paid for his own ticket to prison. My name was cleared the next day. The Shadow Ledger was irrefutable. The company was in chaos. The stock was worthless. The board, in a panic, called me. They begged me to come back as interim CEO to save the fund from liquidation. I accepted. My first act was to liquidate every polluting asset David owned. My second was to sue David and every board member who was complicit, using the recovered $50 million. My third was to actually invest in green technology. It took a year, but Viridian is now smaller, cleaner, and for the first time, actually profitable. It's amazing how much money you can make when you're not faking it. As for David, he learned a hard lesson. You can't build an empire on lies. Especially when the guy you betrayed is the only one who knows the real passwords.